Thank you. Thank you. Gets paid by the hour for that. Parents, family, friends, random person who found the link to this concert on YouTube, welcome to New England Conservatory's annual commencement concert. Most of all, congratulations to the class of 2021. You have done all we have asked you to do. Wear a mask, keep distance, get a COVID test, finish this class, do this recital, this audition, finish your papers. Take a class at 2 in the morning, hey, why not? You did it all, and we could not be more proud of you. We've made a lot of progress since a year ago when this event was completely remote. We couldn't even come into the building. Students sent in videos, and this introduction was done from my house. I wore a tux on top, but truly, I was wearing pajamas on the bottom. None of that this year. So tonight, 8 of the pieces that you'll hear are original works by NEC graduating students. Incredible. But a piece of trivia, the oldest piece on the concert, the Mendelssohn Octet for Strings, is actually written by the youngest composer. He was 16 when he wrote it. And he didn't go to NEC, but okay. A big shout out that I want to make is to all of my colleagues in the audio department, now known as RPTS, also my colleagues who shoot all of the video. They've been doing it all year long. My colleagues on the stage crew who will be moving things, and they move things all the time so efficiently and so beautifully. Thank you. You are all completely amazing. Now, before we start, I would like to introduce the student hosts of tonight's program. They'll be doing some interviews in between. They come from 2 opposite sides of the planet originally. Afarin Naziriju is a student from Iran in our contemporary improv program. And Tyler Boak is a voice and composition student from Michigan. So, Afarin and Tyler, take the stage.
Good evening, and thank you all for tuning in to tonight's concert. I'm Tyler.
I'm Afarin.
And it has been our distinct privilege to serve as your hosts for this evening's performances. As a final note, we wanted to say thank you to the parents and friends and family who have supported all of us through not only our education here at NEC, but also through a global pandemic, providing us with the hours of love and support and patience as we've all seen our way through the last year. As the world begins to return to some normalcy, we are looking forward immensely to sharing music with you all, as well as some hugs in the near future. Thank you, and enjoy the concert.
it's called Alphabet, and it's one of the compositions I wrote from my upcoming album. It's called States, and it refers to the United States, but also states of feeling, states of being. And it basically puts a lot from the history and from the political tensions that are going on here in this country. And Alphabet refers to the eagle that you see in the American flag sometimes, representing power and strength. And it's like a little bit twisted with the lyrics. They're influenced by the poet Gertrude Stein. So it's not so clear when you listen to the lyrics. They make sense to me, but everybody who listens to it, it's probably they can interpret it their own way. Yeah. And there's a lot of hidden messages.
congratulations.
Thank you.
This is your last one, right? That
This
was your
is-
last performance at NEC?
It's my last performance at NEC. Yeah.
How you feeling?
It's good. Yeah, it's great to end my time here performing on the real Jordan Hall.
Right,
So,
in Jordan Hall.
yeah, as opposed to in choir.
Well, tell me about the aria you sang.
So it is Mercutio's aria from Gounod's Romeo and Juliet. It doesn't open the show, but it's kind of the following scene after the beginning, kind of like introducing all the characters. So yeah, it's this fun little aria where Mercutio is making fun of Romeo and kind of describing, it's really recreating the mob monologue from
Right, absolutely.
Romeo and Juliet.
Absolutely.
Mob, ardenne des mensonges, plaisir au songe, plus légère, que le vent des savants. À travers l'espace, à travers la nuit, elle passe, elle fuit, elle passe, elle fuit, elle passe, elle fuit. Son char, que la tombe rapide traîne dans l'étel limpide, fut fait d'une noisette vide par de terre le charbon. Les années se tirent dentelles ont été découpées dans l'aile de quelques vertes sauterelles, à son coucher le moucheron. Un os de grillon sert de manche à s'enfouir, dont la mèche blanche est prise au rayon qui s'épanche de bébé, rassemblant sa cour. Chaque nuit dans cet équipage, ma visite sur son passage, l'époux qui rêve de veuvage et l'amant qui rêve d'amour. À son approche, la coquette rêve d'atour et de toilette. Le courtisan fait la courbette, le poète rime ses vers. À la voir dans son gîte sombre, il ouvre des trésors sans nombre, et la liberté rit dans l'ombre, prisonnier chargé de fer. Le soldat rêve d'embuscade, de bataille et d'estocade. Elle lui verse les rasades, dont ses lardiers sont arrosés. Et toi qu'à soupir songe, plus légère que le vent des savants. À travers l'espace, à travers la nuit, elle passe, elle fuit, elle passe, elle fuit, elle passe, elle fuit.
How did you learn all those rhythms? I mean, it's essentially one long scale from the bottom of the piano all the way up to the top and then back again. How did you go about learning it?
Yeah, I say that, like, reading the music is probably the most difficult part of learning the piece, and it took me like probably half a year or something like that. Because and second part, the most difficult part is remembering that those notes. That seems has no order of it. But if you take enough time for doing that, it will eventually comes out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the piece is by Alyssa Morris, who's a living woman composer, and she's also an oboist. The piece is for movements, and each movement is based off of a famous artist. So the first movement is Monet, the second movement is Seurat, the third movement is Van Gogh, and the last movement is Jackson Pollock. So it was super fun to put this piece together. It's really jazzy, it's really energetic, and it was really fun to kind of look at the artists that she depicts in her music and get to try and transfer that into our playing.
I'm gonna be sad to not play with these girls anymore.
Yeah.
We've grown to be good friends, and at first we didn't really know each other going in, and now we've really connected and go for tea, and rehearsals have been really fun. We rehearse 2 to 3 times a week, so it's gonna be a change not to see each other anymore.
I wonder if you could talk to me a little bit about this whole relationship of music and color, right? We have a long history of contemporary composers with synesthesia and who, Messiaen and Ligeti, all of whom think about color. Where do you see color in your music?
So, I mean, I think of it more, especially in these pieces, as sound color, like color that kind of hits you through your ears. Like, I do not have synesthesia, although it's funny. When I was a kid, I definitely used to hear colors or see colors when I would listen to music. And so I think part of this piece, or part of this series of pieces, was inspired by that. But I tend to think of it as more a matter of the combination of sound and texture.
Sun Ra is someone, or his groups have always been very uplifting to me. I always love the energy that the orchestra is able to emote. And I first came across this particular piece from watching the Tiny Desk concert that the orchestra did a few years ago.
I wondered.
And of course I did some digging. I listened to the original recording from the 60s. And that really inspired this recomposition. So I took melodic fragments that I transcribed from both the original piece as well as the orchestra's piece that they released in 2020 and used those as cells for basis for improvisation. So I wanted the group that we put together to have the freedom to improvise on those melodic fragments while still maintaining that unified sense of groove that is so important to Sun Ra and the orchestra. So what came across was, I can't be more elated with this group that I've put together. They're such amazing musicians that I've come across at NEC, and I feel so blessed to have met them and collaborated with them. And I'm just so happy with the way that they've brought this recomposition to life.
Yeah, my piece called Winter Painting. I wrote it in November or December of 2020. It was super cold and it was snowing. It's like a crazy storm in Boston, and they canceled school and everything. And I remember that day I went just to, to take a short walk next to my apartment. I live in Brookline, and it was still snowing, but I didn't care. I just wanted to, to have this experience of walking in the snow. And I went to the reservoir. It's a big lake next to my place, and I was the only person there. It felt so special, and I felt so small in that huge lake. It was cold, but I didn't care. And then I just went back home and I wrote that piece.
How did you go about interpreting a song that's been sung by Sinatra, by Tony Bennett, by every great crooner of the 1900s who's recorded that song? Right. How'd you find it? How'd you go about singing it?
Well, for me, I fell in love with the song listening to Mario Lanza, the great tenor, sing it, and I grew up with that kind of music and that kind of inspiration all my life, and I've been singing it for years, this song, and it never gets old, and it never stops being applicable to the day-to-day life, and especially I think now in 2020, 2021, everything we've been through. If I know personally, if I didn't have music, what would my day look like? What would my life be? Nothing. I'd be such an empty shell of a human being. Right. The few months that we didn't have music in 2020 was pretty awful, and so to really sing that, without a song the day would never end, and all these beautiful lyrics, they're not just schmaltzy anymore. Right. They mean something.
The piece I wrote, it's called Picture 6, Going Home. And it's on an old Zen text called the 10 Ox Herding Pictures, or the 10 Zen Bulls. And it's when you have tamed your mind and you've attained enlightenment, and you are going home atop the ox. You've tamed enlightenment. You can control your mind and feel good.
Riding high on your ox, leisurely you head for home. Trilling on a nomad's flute, you leave in the evening mist. In each beat and verse, your boundless feeling. To a close companion, what need to move your lips?
So the piece we'll be hearing is called Cat and Dog, played by Andrew Barnwell brilliantly. And it's two of a coming 12 in a sort of domestic zodiac series. Other creatures being lizards and other household companions. This came out of Sid Richardson's course, actually. We were studying Joplin and looking at ragtime and its influence on Charles Ives, and some of the rhythms in the first movement are drawn from that study. And then the second piece is based on an older kind of bagatelle idea that I had kicking around for ages, and it floated back to me, and I realized it fit as the sort of that was the canine, this would be the feline sort of counterpoint to that.
Saídas e bandeiras means exits and flags. And the piece is sort of this small vignette, and it occurs on a couple different albums. But every time it happens, it's like it sort of kind of comes out of nowhere and then leaves, almost as if it just kept going forever. So I wanted to kind of create this really cyclical feel where there are some things kind of changing, but there's always this recognizable melody throughout. Yeah, and it was great arranging for me and Stephanie. It was a really collaborative process. So I would bring in sort of a little piece, and we would workshop it and see what's working, and then next week, bring in another snippet until it was complete.
O que vocês diriam dessa coisa que não dá mais pé?
O que vocês fariam pra sair dessa maré? O que era sonho vir à terra? Quem vai ser o primeiro a me responder? Quem vai sair dessa cidade e ter a vida onde ela é? Subir novas montanhas, diamantes procurar no fim da estrada da poeira. O rio com seus frutos me alimenta. O que vocês diriam dessa coisa que não dá mais paz? O que vocês fariam pra sair dessa maré? O que era sonho vir à terra? Quem vai ser o primeiro a me responder? Andar por avenidas, enfrentando o que não dá mais pé. Junta todas as forças pra vencer dessa maré. O que era pedra vira homem, a pedra vira homem. E o homem é mais sólido, mais sólido que mais sólido que a mar. O que vocês que a maré. O que vocês diriam dessa coisa que não dá mais pé? O que vocês diriam dessa coisa que não dá mais? O que vocês quem vai ser o primeiro a me responder? Andar para a avenida, enfrentando o que não dá pé. Junta todas as forças pra vencer dessa maré. O que era pedra vira homem, a pedra vira homem. E o homem é mais sólido, mais sólido que o que vocês diriam dessa coisa que não dá mais pé? O que vocês fariam pra sair dessa maré? O que era sonho vir à terra? Quem vai ser o primeiro a me responder?
Tell me about Bohème. Have you sung the role before?
I haven't, no.
Oh, awesome.
So I've always wanted, Bohème is like such an amazing opera.
The opera, right?
Amazing. But I had never, really wanted to touch it because I just feel like it's so perfect as a piece of music. And so I, last semester, Patricia Rissette came for a master class, and she didn't like any of the pieces that I brought to work on. And so she was like, you should, it was in a lesson. And then my next lesson was the next day. And she was like, can you learn Donde Leata and bring it? And I was like, okay, sure, as an experiment. And it was really fun.
Awesome.
And so then for this, Professor Williams, said, we can only do something that's 3.5 minutes long.
Right.
Keep it short, keep it sweet. And so I was like, well, Donde Leata. And it could be it's a little sad, I think, for commencement, but also it's this whole idea of saying goodbye without regrets.
Absolutely.
Saying goodbye, I have no regrets for what our love was or what my experience at NEC was. And so I thought it was a little, could fit.
So I am backstage with two of the violinists of the Mendelssohn Octet, Leonard Fu and Tiffany Chang, who both are on their way out of the doors of NEC this year. How are you guys feeling? Mendelssohn's one of those pieces we play every year for commencement. How do you think this year went?
I think honestly it was probably one of the more fulfilling things that I've done this year actually, because obviously not having a chance that much to work with other people and then to do it in a chamber setting is always like a really amazing thing. And everybody who played the piece was so on board and so willing and open to receiving new ideas and trying new things out.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think especially for the past year, of course there was chamber music going on, but it's so difficult to just make things happen impromptu. It's like so difficult to just read with people. So I feel like all of us feel quite like chamber music starved. And for me, and I think for all of us on stage, it's like one of the most fun parts of being a performer is to play chamber music. And I feel like that kind of hunger for good chamber music was very much present in the rehearsals and the performance. We felt so kind of lucky and like grateful that we got to do this on our way out. Really,
absolutely.
It's really kind of, this is what can be better than playing Mendelssohn Octet at the end of our studies. You know?
And talk about like a fun part to go out on, right? Like it's just one of those that like it starts and it does not let you go for the whole piece.
And there's not a single second wasted in that piece. The weaving is so intricate, and yet it's so accessible for everyone. Like, I feel like, you know, a friend of mine was saying it's in a way like more boppy than like pop music or rock music in a way that it's just like so catchy, but at the same time it's so masterfully crafted, and it's just, I mean, a joy all around.
So we are about to hear your piece in the program. For those of us who don't speak Spanish, can you tell us a little bit about your piece?
Sure. So this piece is a love letter to Boston. And it speaks about a lot of the different feelings that I have felt during these 2 years. And so 10,000 gorriones means 10,000 sparrows. And I am talking about times when I felt the energy, the fervor of 10,000 sparrows flying inside of me and lifting me to song and to my friends and to my teachers and to the beautiful colors of the city.
Para enfrentarme con todo lo que me asusta, te miraría a los ojos y te diría que no hay manera de irme de acá, brillando en la oscuridad, sanando. Vos me miras de cerca, me hablas de héroe, diría de los planetas. Yo pienso que es mentira, que no hay manera de verme siendo de 1000 colores. Por tu vitral yo me reflejo en 10,000 colores. Yo me transformo en 10,000 canciones y yo me reflejo en 10,000 colores también. Y siento el fervor de 10,000 gorriones volando juntos, 10,000 gorriones volando juntos, 10,000 gorriones volando juntos también. Sos el viento que pinta todo Boston violeta.